you doing?
Time pass.
How fried are you?
Very fried. Since
This is our current situation because there's no way that the luggage can fit. It's one of those days, and interestingly, on like a 6-day trip, there is that one day, which is not all, even though there was sunshine today in Novi Sad, not all travel days are perfect. So this morning, we checked out of our Airbnb, we headed to a cafeteria to have breakfast, and then it was too smoky. It's very common for cafes in Serbia to have people smoking inside of them. And another weird realization is that most cafeterias only have drinks. It could be coffee, hot chocolate, alcohol, only drinks. They don't have food. So then we had to head to another place to maybe grab some bread, head to another cafe where it was less smoky and we could sit for like 15-20 minutes and grab a coffee peacefully. And I think after all of that, when we headed to the train station and we got tickets for the next train, the train was delayed by almost half an hour. And then when we finally got on the train to come from Novi Sad to Belgrade, it so happened that we assumed that it's going to be a half an hour train because there are ranges of train journeys from about 35 minutes to 50 minutes. And this train that we were on, it took an entire hour to get to Belgrade. Then we struggled to find an exit from the Belgrade station, and I think we came out on the industrial side of the station and not the main road where you can find restaurants and people and basically get around easily. There's also this one major struggle that everything here is mostly written in Serbian, which is in the Cyrillic script, so which is very, very hard to read or figure. And even though Google Maps shows transport options, at least in Belgrade as opposed to Novi Sad, and they do have like buses and trams, but it's not a very reliable option in terms of timing. We couldn't figure where to get tickets from. We don't have our cards working here, so we wanted to pay in cash. We waited for almost we went about from like one point to another, bus, tram, I don't know what, just so that we could actually get on a transport mode that could take us to our Airbnb. But yeah, I think we waited still easily for about 30 minutes for nothing, and then we finally got onto this bus, the E1 bus, and we have to get down at the last stop here. Now a typical public transport ticket in Belgrade costs about 89 Serbian dinar, but over here we had to pay 200 dinar per person, and this is pretty much where we are. We paid in cash, but yeah, like 200 dinar versus 89 dinar is a shitload of difference. And we're still like just squeezing ourselves in here. Anyway, that's actually fine because that's pretty much how travel is. It's not like the best thing ever each day. Yeah, we're pretty hungry as well at this point. It's almost, it's like 3:45 and we've just snacked on one bread so far, and we're like really hungry. So right now we're just hoping that the drama and all the glitches kind of slow down for a bit so that we can check into our Airbnb here in Belgrade, which at least by the pictures look like an extremely beautiful property. And yes, after that we'll grab some snacks that we have on us, and in the meanwhile also figure where we want to have our lunch, or if there is a word for lunch plus snacks. But that's pretty much the plan for now, and I thought it would be a great idea to update you all that it's not always a pretty picture while traveling, but I think it's this particular part which is such an important lesson. And I mean, we picked our own few lessons immediately in the last couple of hours since we're here, that we cannot take the public transport for granted. We have to plan our trip around the city better, and we have to be prepared that we cannot cover everything because the distances are massive. So I think some smart strategic planning should help, and we should just take it easy. We can cover as much as we can, and we can let go what is not doable. So anyway, I'll update you once we get to our Airbnb, and really hoping that I do not have any more drama to report. And this is also a part of our Airbnb. And if you wonder why we're going late to places, it's because we're so invested in these cuties. It's literally like a cat party here. Where did the other one go? There she is. There's at least a good 4-5 cats. Right now there are 4 here. There's a couple more that we've spotted since yesterday. These are stray cats. These are not the house cats. They're so adorable. Oh my god.
They play with it.
Yeah, I mean, why do we need to go out? We can just play with cats, right?
Yes, we still need to see Belgrade too.
No, I want to stay with cats.
You stay with cats, I'll go see Belgrade.
Okay, no, I'm coming. Don't leave me. I'm your cat.
Come cat. Come cat, come.
We'll be back, and I promise we'll bring back cat food for you. Yes, these are their bowls. And that is the exit. So, as I mentioned in my last bite, we didn't have exactly the best start in Belgrade, but coming to this property was, I don't know, relieving of sorts. First we thought, I don't know which corner of Belgrade we're headed in, but this is so worth it. This is so beautiful. The property is so nice, you saw, and there are cats. So now the major thing that we realized yesterday was that the distances in Belgrade are way too much. Like, to go from one point to another by public transport, you easily need to have a minimum of 40 minutes. Also, the schedule of the public transport system is not exactly reliable, so you can just wait for the bus or the tram that you want to come. And yeah, so right now we're headed to the first spot, which is
Belgrade Fortress.
And let's hope we get lucky with the public transport for now.
It's 1480. This is 2.
Ne, to je jedno samo, još jedno. Nekako važi do 16.
Okay.
So we had taken the tram that we needed to get to the Belgrade fortress, but we had to get off because we realized that we couldn't buy a ticket from inside the tram. So we got off because there was all the chances that somebody could come for inspection since we had to go so far, and we wanted to hunt for a way to get the bus plus card, which we finally got after checking with a couple of kiosks over here that sell like everything. It's the pan tapri version of Belgrade, but I think in a way traveling across the mainstream European countries in a way has really spoiled us, because it's really frustrating, to be honest. Since yesterday we've just been struggling, you know, like I'm somebody who takes a lot of pictures, and I realize I don't have a single picture of Belgrade city since we've arrived last afternoon, purely because we've been so caught up just trying to figure how to get around, the public transport, the tickets, and there's only one option: you overspend or you just waste your time, and both of them are not suitable. So I'm glad that we finally figured how to get a bus ticket. It's such a not so assured way of getting it, because even yesterday I think when we got on a bus and we requested the bus driver to give us a ticket, he didn't give it to us because either he did not understand it or he did not have it. And then the next bus, which was more like a private express bus that we got onto, there we had to pay 200 for a single ticket per person, which otherwise, like on the regular public transport, costs like 89 Serbian dinar, and you can already see what a massive difference that is.
And also, like on the websites and all where you research, they say that you can buy these tickets and passes from any kiosks around the city. And yesterday we went to like 2 to 3 kiosks,
Yeah.
and they just said we don't sell it. Like,
So
not like we don't have it, we don't sell
basically,
it. Only.
the thing is, there is a lack of information.
Yeah.
There is a lack of preparedness or setup for tourism. So I don't know what the tourism numbers of Belgrade are, but I think as a newbie in the city, it's extremely intimidating to get around, to figure the public transport, or just get around the different corners of the city. Plus, this is a massive city. You cannot do it on foot. You need public transport. So right now we spent 700 dinar per person, and we got this. It's a bus plus card, and we actually spent 700 dinar per person so that we could get like a bulk ticket thing, or more like a 3-day transport pass.
Which is kind of useless because we're here for only 2 days.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the only option that we could really get.
Yeah.
But that was better than hunting around for tickets all the time.
True.
So yeah, I mean, I hope now that this bit is figured, and it took almost 24 hours to figure it in a way. There are no apps, even the tourism website of the city, nothing gives you cannot buy these tickets online either, which is so frustrating. There are these tiny like ticket machines inside all the public transport, but that is only to kind of add single tickets. So you need to have this card to really add new tickets. You cannot
I don't even think that's to add. That's to probably like reduce. Like you have to refill it from probably these kiosks.
There is basically
there's
no
clarity
as to how this works. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just trying to cool down now because this bit is sorted. But this was really, really frustrating. This was really frustrating because if you have like limited time in the city, you cannot spend, and a city where there's so much like time and distance between different places, you cannot spend so much time and energy into just figuring the public transport system. Also, I think I mentioned it yesterday, I'm gonna in my last this thing, but I'm gonna say it again. While Google Maps does show how to get to certain places, you cannot rely by the timetable. The trams, the buses, they'll come when they want to. There is no timetable that they're adhering to. This is not Vienna. I hope the drama reduces and we get to see more of Belgrade now. Fingers crossed.
सब finger cross कर दी.
Suddenly the face of Belgrade has changed.
Yeah, looks like.
This will need to convert money. We don't have much.
So this is the map of the fortress, and beware, everything is shut on Monday, and this Nebroisa tower is shut on Monday and Tuesday. Plan accordingly because this is the most important monument in the city.
Also, there are different timings of operation.
Yeah.
From April to September and from October to March. So I think that's also something that needs to be kept in mind. Well, we're finally at the Belgrade fortress, and we have been covering the different points of entrance, and there's a lot of street buskers here, the musicians, a lot of street art on display. We even had to, like, before we could actually come to the fortress, we actually had to go to the main street that's like right opposite the entrance of the fortress, and from there we basically got some money exchanged after walking a bit. But that was such a lively street. I mean, all the buskers and people, and you know, there was still these Christmas market kind of stalls that were there. The music scene was unbelievable. It almost took me back to Mumbai. There were people singing and dancing on the streets because the music was that lively and that good. But now we finally come to the Belgrade fortress. The tower that you see there, that is one of the attractions, but when we tried going on top, it was closed. So now we're headed to see the Roman well at the fortress. I don't think we're going to spend too much time here. We can get a panoramic view of the city, I'm guessing, because this is a little up the slope. So we'll wander about, explore this place for a bit, and then we'll go eat something. I am so hungry. I'm so hungry, but I'm also glad at this point that we're getting to explore attractions of Belgrade, and we're not just like roaming around the city confused. I think the city could really do with a lot of work on the infrastructure for tourism, the way things are maintained. But then again, I think it's also unfair of me to say that, because every country has its own set of issues, set of problems. Obviously the finance is sort of a major aspect, and Paricha was just telling me that, you know, within the Balkan states, Serbia is literally second from last when it comes to their GDP. So I'm sure they have more pressing issues to deal with. On the other hand, Novi Sad definitely seemed a little more developed and tourism ready, but that also comes from the factor that in 2022 Novi Sad was appointed as the European capital of culture, and you could literally see the branding of that labeling everywhere across the town, and they had literally put in a lot of efforts to improve the infrastructure of Novi Sad for tourists, and I'm sure even the locals must have benefited from it. So on a very different note, on a side note, I think it's a great opportunity, it's a great thing for cities, for towns that may not have the best infrastructure to get opportunities like this, because obviously the funds that come in, the importance that such events add to the destination, that really helps in improving the infrastructure and the lives of the local people out there. So I'm hoping that this sort of an effect can be more widespread across a lot of destinations that are a part of the European continent, but for the various number of reasons to not have the kind of infrastructure. Anyway, is this the Roman well that was?
It's a dargah.
It's a dargah. Okay. So for a very long time, I think almost 500 years, the Ottoman Empire had set base in Belgrade, and that is why there is a massive influence of the Ottomans in the history, culture, architecture, food in Serbia, particularly in Belgrade. And this is the first dargah that we've actually spotted in the country. So yeah, I think it's interesting, but the dargah is shut, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I think this is the kind of monument that you can look at if you have seen even pictures of any Ottoman architectural monument. You can actually tell that, oh, you know, this has similarities, particularly the dome. So this dargah is obviously shut, but we're going to look for the Roman well and the Victor monument that is supposed to be somewhere here. We're still at the Belgrade fortress, but this in particular is a very special point at the fortress. What I'm pointing at is the confluence of two rivers. The one that you see coming from there, that's our very own Danube, and this here that joins Danube is the Sava river, and this is where they meet, and this is the confluence of the two rivers. This is one of the specialities of Belgrade, and I mean, I haven't seen too many confluence points of rivers, but I think this entire vibe right now, this entire place is extremely beautiful. Thank you again for being a sunny day. What do you see there? That's the Victory Monument, and here we are. What do you think so far of our Belgrade experience and exploration?
Well, I'll remove like the first few hours of the morning, but then
First few hours of the morning or first few hours in the city?
in the city.
First
actually.
entire day in the city?
First probably like 20 hours in the city.
Makes sense.
But now I think this is beautiful. This confluence, the vibes here, I think these are nice.
I agree.
This is something for which we travel and not the other things, but
No, but
they
I
are a part
think
and parcel of traveling.
exactly,
So,
like I was saying before that, you know, not every place is and honestly no place is picture perfect. Every place has its own problems, but in places like these the problems are more pronounced.
Yeah.
And I think especially when you get used to traveling with a lot of comfort, even when by comfort I don't mean by traveling in like Mercedes and limousines, but by comfort I simply mean, you know, where everything is so easily accessible on your phone, on the internet, or you have apps for things, and you know, you can literally just do everything at the click of a button. There's very little that you need to little effort that you need to put in to understand and explore the place. Something like this, an experience like Belgrade is more of an eye-opener. I'm sure one of the major issues that we're also facing is that of the language, and I think more than language it's particularly the script, because when we tried decoding words, like we mentioned in the Novi Sad vlog, that there's so much that, you know, Serbian words have in common with different Indian language words, but because the script is Cyrillic, it's very hard to even understand what is written. On days like these, we're really thankful for German. And by the way, if you even pick on a few German words, I think that's really helpful over here. I'm still to understand what the entire influence is apart from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. But yeah, I mean, I think knowing English and German can help, but you have to talk to people, because if you intend to do things on your own, read on the internet, or just figure things with your own intellect, without people it's going to be impossible. So yeah, I think this is, as you can see, people are enjoying. That's our shadow. Hi. Okay. And that's a lot of people, some of them locals, some of them tourists, very few tourists actually. That's my husband who's gone dark because of the sun. Not anymore. And that's the confluence again of Danube and Sava river that meet here right on the banks in Belgrade. This is the view from the Belgrade fortress. And where are we headed next?
we don't know.
Definitely to get some food. I'm saying this again. After all the fuss that I made about the Roman well, this is where I am, right outside the well, only to find this. Open only for organized tours, booked in advance, which we obviously haven't, because I mean, finding any kind of information about this place has been a struggle. Interesting fact, or I don't know how do I put this, but the Roman well was actually built by the Austrians and not by the Romans. And what else did you say?
There grows a Brunn.
Yes.
The only German word we can like.
The final line, Roman well is a utilitarian military edifice representing the most advanced fortification architecture of its time, and by of its time we have to say 1731. It's 45 minutes to sunset, and that's the view. We're finally heading out of the Belgrade fortress. I think the fortress is a great starting point to get some really nice views of the city. We've learned it the hard way that you need to carry snacks with you while traveling, because it always comes handy, especially when you're opting for like a late lunch or when you just can't find food you like. So, what are we having today?
I'm not going to talk, I'm just going to eat.
Well, what's your review on the flavor of nachos? Doritos hot corn.
It's same as all the other flavors.
I mean, I agree, I've tasted it. But right now we're just thankful that Doritos hot corn is keeping us occupied till we actually get some real
Not
food.
a sponsored post.
Not a sponsored post. But I think, yeah, like while traveling, trying out the new local flavors of the different dishes is a great idea.
हम आए आज के लंच के लिए बिरयानी सेंट्रल में। परंपरा ने मंगाई है चिकन बिरयानी और मैंने मंगाया है राजमा चावल, उसके साथ चाय।
So we usually don't eat Indian food outside while traveling, but I think अब जब हम यूरोप में रहते हैं तो I think this is a good excuse for us to, क्योंकि ऑस्ट्रिया में तो अभी तक हमको कोई भी इंडियन रेस्टोरेंट अच्छा नहीं लगा। So when we actually travel out of Austria, it's a very good opportunity for us to try or at least get some sense of like Indian food. Plus, I think it's really good for Parampara क्योंकि उसको proper understandable vegetarian options मिल जाते हैं, तो it's like a hearty meal for him. तो time waste नहीं करते, खाते हैं
भाई मस्त भाप निकल रही है अंदर से। Let's eat.